Everything begins in the invisible before it ever shows up in the visible. What you call reality is simply the final product of what was once unseen. Wealth is not money in the hand, it is a mentality in the mind. If you do not have the mindset of wealth, then no matter how much you receive, you will return to your former condition. Because the substance that sustains increase is not paper, it's perception. You were not designed to chase wealth, you were designed to produce it. But production can only occur in the soil of a renewed mind. Until you understand that your thoughts are the factory of your future, you will keep trying to withdraw what you never deposited. The truth is this: your bank account is not your limit, your belief system is. Most people are broke not because they lack money, but because they lack mental permission to become wealthy. You will never walk into what you have not first walked out in your spirit. The mind is the manufacturing plant of every future you will ever live in. If your internal narrative tells you that prosperity is pride, or that lack is holy, or that struggle is spiritual, you will unconsciously sabotage every opportunity to advance. You will call favor a fluke. You will reject doors God opens because they don't feel familiar. You will get used to cycles that God never authored. And you will defend dysfunction with theology that excuses your fear. Wealth is not reserved for the lucky. It is reserved for the mentally ready. You cannot enter a wealthy place with a wilderness mindset. God told Israel that He was taking them to a land flowing with milk and honey. But the problem wasn't the promise. It was their perception. They saw themselves as grasshoppers, and because they did, they forfeited what was already theirs. You will always manifest the version of you that you meditate on. If you keep meditating on survival, you will never embrace dominion. If you see yourself as a victim of economy, you will never walk as an agent of heaven's economy. There's a difference between someone who has money and someone who thinks wealth. One has accumulation, the other has multiplication. Mentality is magnetic. What you think consistently, you attract inevitably. If you wake up every day rehearsing how much debt you have, how tight the money is, and how hard life has been, then you have enrolled yourself in the school of stagnation. But if you wake up declaring that favor surrounds you, that wisdom guides you, and that provision is chasing you down, then your mind begins to instruct your emotions, your speech, and your behavior to align with wealth. You cannot think scarcity and speak overflow. You cannot curse your future and expect increase. The mind is the womb of manifestation. Until you change a picture in your head, you will never change the story in your hands. The mind is like soil. It does not decide what grows. It simply grows what is planted. If you keep planting fear, it will grow. If you keep planting ideas of limitation, they will grow. If you keep rehearsing the words of people who told you, you'll never be anything. Those weeds will choke your vision. But if you begin to plant seeds of vision, strategy, ideas, value, excellence, and divine possibility, your garden will begin to shift. Suddenly, what once looked like a wasteland becomes a vineyard. What once felt barren becomes fertile. You do not get wealthy by emotion. You get wealthy by intention. And intention starts with thought. The greatest weapon the enemy uses to keep you broke is not lack of opportunity. It is the presence of small thinking. Small thinking is dangerous because it feels safe. It avoids risk. It embraces comfort. It disguises itself as humility but is rooted in fear. You can pray all day, fast all week, but if you keep thinking the same, nothing will shift. Praying for millions while maintaining a mindset that tolerates thousands is like asking for rain while holding a thimble. God can only give you what you are prepared to receive. He will not send a river into a cracked cup. The expansion begins in your mind. God never called you to just make a living. He called you to leave a legacy. And legacies are birthed from minds that are no longer impressed with survival. You cannot transform a generation if your only goal is to pay your bills. Vision is what gives money assignment. Money without a renewed mind becomes an idol. But money with a renewed mind becomes an instrument. And until you master your inner world, you will mishandle your outer world. This is why before God ever blesses you, He transforms you. Because if He blesses you without transformation, the blessing will crush you. But if He transforms you first, you will steward what others waste. Wealth is not just financial increase. It is the presence of divine order in every area of your life. It is mental stability. It is creative clarity. It is relational wisdom. It is spiritual authority. When your mind is aligned with kingdom principles, money becomes a servant, not a master. And once you master that level of thought, you will stop asking for money and start asking for ideas. You will stop chasing clients and start attracting partners. You will stop begging for a raise and start commanding streams. Your mind will begin to see what others miss. solve what others ignore, and build what others fear. You were not created to live at the mercy of systems. You were created to become a system. Everything God created, He spoke to its source. He spoke to the water for fish. He spoke to the ground for plants. And He spoke to Himself for you. You came from divine thought. So your life must be governed by divine thought. You cannot live like royalty while thinking like a slave. You cannot rise like an eagle while rehearsing the language of chickens. Until you see yourself as one who is assigned to multiply, manage, distribute, and fund vision, you will remain stuck in the illusion that money is evil. But money is not evil. Mismanaged minds are. A wealthy man with a broken mind is dangerous. But a transformed mind connected to heaven's plan is unstoppable. The moment you decide that your wealth is not for status but for stewardship, everything changes. You begin to see money as a tool for change, not a trophy for ego. You begin to ask different questions. You begin to think in terms of systems, solutions, structures, and strategies. You no longer react to life. You create it. You no longer panic. You plan. You no longer look to others for permission. You walk in purpose. This is the season to upgrade your thinking. Not because of greed, but because of governance. God wants to trust you with more. But He can only trust you to the level your mind is prepared to manage. And so, your millionaire phase is not about what is coming to your hands. It's about what's already living in your head. You must align your thoughts with abundance, your speech with sovereignty, and your vision with victory. Because your future will never rise above your mindset. And if you want to change what's in your hands, you must first change what's in your head. Before God sends rain, He demands a seed. Before He fills vessels, He asks them to be borrowed. Before He multiplies bread, He requires 5 loaves and 2 fish. This is a divine principle. God never releases provision where there is no vision. Provision is heaven's response to purpose. If there is no assignment, there will be no resources. If there is no clear direction, there will be no divine supply. Your millionaire phase is not a reward. It's a responsibility. It is not the result of random favor. It is the result of focused purpose. You must understand that God is not moved by need. He is moved by vision. The children of Israel were in the wilderness for 40 years, but He did not build them houses, open stores, or plant vineyards there. Why? Because the wilderness was not their destiny, it was their transition. God does not invest resources into what is temporary. He sends supernatural supply to places where His long-term agenda will be executed. This means you must make your vision plain. You must know why you want wealth before heaven releases it. If your goal is self-indulgence, status, applause, or revenge, then the supply line will remain shut. But if your vision is kingdom, generational, global, and impactful, you have just activated a different economy. There is a currency greater than money, and it is called purpose. When purpose is clear, provision cannot be denied. Your millionaire phase is not about accumulation. It is about assignment. You were not born to die full of potential. You were born to empty yourself into the earth. But to do that, you must be funded. And heaven funds vision, not vanity. You must ask yourself, what problem am I called to solve? What gap am I born to fill? What system am I assigned to disrupt? What legacy am I responsible to build? When those questions are answered, the provision begins to flow. Not because you're lucky, but because you're aligned. Money follows mission. If you chase money, it will run from you. If you chase mission, money will serve you. God did not create you to be a slave to resources. He created you to master them. But mastery only comes through clarity. Vagueness repels resources. Precision attracts them. Many people pray for increase, but few prepare a vision big enough to require it. You cannot ask for millions and present a plan that only needs hundreds. If your vision is small, then the resources will be small. But if your vision stretches into nations, families, systems, generations, then the gates of heaven will open, because you've proven that your life is not about you, it's about impact. The world will pay for solutions, heaven will fund assignments. When you operate in your assignment, money will be magnetized to you. Not because you're chasing it, but because you've become a person who attracts what they carry. The oil is in the obedience. The supply is in the surrender. The overflow is in the outcome of a life lived with purpose. This means your greatest wealth is not in your possessions, it's in your purpose. If you lose everything today but still have vision, you're still wealthy, because vision is the soil of provision. As long as you can see clearly, you can start again. As long as the mission is alive, the money can be multiplied. God is not trying to make you rich just so you can feel secure. He is trying to fund a kingdom agenda through you. The problem is never the economy. The problem is our ability to carry vision. The economy of heaven is never in recession, but access to it requires alignment with divine assignment. You must realize your life is a conduit. You are not the source, you are the steward. You are not the destination, you are the distributor. When your hands become channels instead of containers, the oil keeps flowing. When your heart beats for people instead of possessions, your life becomes a treasury heaven can trust. Stop asking for provision until you have clarified the vision. Write the vision. Make it play over it. Strategize it. Declare it. Prepare for it. Don't just wish for wealth. Work your assignment until it attracts what it needs. God funds function. If you are not functioning in purpose, you are outside of the funding zone. This is why people chase investments and lose them, because the investment wasn't tied to their assignment. But when God is the investor and your life is the platform, no recession can cancel what heaven has sponsored. There are inventions in your spirit. There are companies inside your obedience. There are foundations in your compassion. There are schools, systems, books, buildings, and solutions trapped inside your assignment. But they will not be birthed through emotion. They will only be born through vision. The clearer you see, the faster it comes. The more focused you become, the more favor surrounds you. The more aligned you are, the more open the gates become. You're not just stepping into your millionaire phase. You're stepping into your assignment-driven millionaire phase. And that is a completely different realm. That is where purpose marries provision. That is where calling collides with capital. That is where mission produces multiplication. This is not the time to panic about money. This is the time to go back to your purpose. Who are you sent to? What are you called to build? Where is the need you were born to meet? Your future is not waiting on money. Money is waiting on your movement. When you move with vision, provision has no choice but to follow. Because heaven is not bankrupt. But it is selective, and it only sponsors what reflects the King. So walk boldly, speak clearly, plan thoroughly, execute excellently. Because once your vision is in motion, your millionaire phase has no choice but to manifest. There is a hidden economy buried inside of you. It does not depend on your education, your background, or the approval of others. It is not subject to recessions, inflation, or government policies. It is eternal, unshakable, and divinely engineered. That economy is your gift. Your gift is not a hobby. It is not a talent. It is the fingerprint of God upon your spirit. It is the tool He placed inside you to unlock doors, solve problems, create value, and birth transformation in the earth. You were not sent here to chase money. You were sent to discover your gift, and that gift is your passport into your wealthy place. You don't pursue wealth. You position yourself for it. You don't run after money. You become someone money runs after. The world is not looking for another copy. It's looking for authenticity. And your gift is what makes you irreplaceable. The problem is we've been trained to chase positions instead of purpose. We've been taught to look for jobs instead of uncovering our assignments. But jobs can be taken. Positions can change. But your gift, your God-given capacity to solve problems and create solutions, cannot be stolen, silenced, or replaced. That is where your economy lies. The principle is simple: your gift makes room for you. Not your degree, not your RA Sum A, not your network, your gift. When you discover what you were born to do, and you begin to refine it, master it, and offer it to the world with excellence, doors begin to open. Not because you begged, but because you became. Not because you chased, but because you carried. Your gift is what qualifies you in rooms where your background disqualifies you. Your gift is what elevates you in spaces where your name was never supposed to be mentioned. It is not your effort alone that brings success. It is alignment with your divine design. You were never designed to depend on a paycheck. You were designed to depend on your purpose. The paycheck is a result, but the source is your gift. When you discover your gift and deploy it consistently, wealth becomes a byproduct. Because every gift solves a problem. Every problem carries a reward. Wherever there's pain, your gift becomes relevant. And wherever your gift is relevant, your value increases. You don't have a money problem. You have an undiscovered or undeployed gift. When you activate your gift, money becomes the consequence of your contribution. Stop asking for more money and start asking for more clarity. Stop comparing yourself with others and start refining the thing that makes you different. You were never created to be famous. You were created to be effective. And effectiveness is what breeds increase. Your gift was designed to dominate a particular area of life. It might be teaching, designing, building, writing, organizing, innovating, leading, or healing. But once you find it, you find the well that never runs dry. Because that well was put there by God, and it is connected to the need of your generation. Let this be clear. Your gift is not optional, it's essential. It is the answer to a question someone is asking. It is the solution to a crisis someone is facing. It is the bridge between someone's pain and their breakthrough. And every time you suppress your gift, you rob the world of the wealth God intended to release through you. You don't have to market your gift aggressively. Just walk in it with excellence. Value will always attract attention. Impact will always create demand. Consistency will always build legacy. And the marketplace pays more for originality than imitation. Understand this truth: you are already wealthy. The wealth is just trapped in a gift you have not fully released. You're sitting on ideas that can become industries. You're carrying a voice that can become a movement. You're holding skills that can build empires. But the raw version of your gift is not enough. You must refine it, develop it, invest in it, stretch it, multiply it. The more you grow your gift, the more your territory expands. And the more you solve problems, the more wealth flows in your direction. Not because you're chasing money, but because you're chasing purpose. The gift is your economy. Not the job, not the contract, not the loan. The gift is the seed, and every seed carries the future of a forest. That's why you must guard it, protect it, focus on it. Stop spreading your energy across 10 things that don't feed your purpose. Narrow your attention until your gift becomes sharp. When a gift is sharpened, it slices through obscurity and enters influence. When a gift is sharpened, kings come looking for you. Opportunities knock, nations take notice. Because the earth is groaning, not for noise, but for solutions. And your gift is heaven's answer to earth's cry. The secret to entering your millionaire phase is not waiting for luck. It's discovering your gift, understanding its value, and offering it to the world with excellence and conviction. Your gift is not for you. It is for the world. But the reward for giving it is that you become the conduit through which divine resources flow. That's why millionaires who walk in purpose don't chase luxury. They chase impact. Because they've learned that true fulfillment doesn't come from accumulation, but from activation. You are not poor. You are packed, loaded, gifted, designed with heaven's intelligence and divine advantage. So stop despising your difference. That difference is your distinction. It's the source of your relevance. Stop hiding your brilliance to fit in with mediocrity. You were never created to blend in. You were created to stand out. And once you step fully into your gift with boldness, discipline, and focus, you won't have to ask for opportunity. Opportunity will ask for you. Because wealth always follows wisdom. And your gift is the expression of the wisdom God gave you to establish your dominion in the earth. You don't need permission to prosper. You need revelation of who you are and what you carry. Because the moment you recognize that your gift is not just talent, but treasure, not just potential, but provision, not just unique, but necessary, you will stop waiting for wealth and start walking in it. Because your gift is the passport, and your wealthy place is already calling your name. The divide between the sacred and the secular is an illusion created by religion, not by God. There is no such thing as just business when you carry kingdom purpose. When you are a citizen of heaven, every place your feet step becomes holy ground. That means the marketplace is not a side hustle. It is your ministry. The boardroom is your pulpit. The client meeting is your mission field. The proposal is your prophecy. The marketplace is the platform where divine strategy, wisdom, innovation, and excellence converge to reveal the glory of the King through the work of your hands. You were not only called to preach with words, you were called to preach with systems, with structure, with service, with solutions. And business is one of the most powerful platforms God uses to influence culture. The church was never meant to be confined to a building. You are the church, and the marketplace is your congregation. When you walk into that space with purpose, you shift atmospheres. You represent heaven in places the pulpit will never reach. You become the answer to prayers people are too afraid to speak. That is why your millionaire phase must be more than about wealth. It must be about impact. Business is not beneath your calling. It is the extension of it. It is the space where you are called to demonstrate integrity, reveal kingdom excellence, set new standards, raise leaders, fund causes, and model godly influence without compromise. The early church in the book of Acts understood this. They moved in power, but they also moved in provision. They had property, strategy, and resources. Why? Because the kingdom was not just a message, it was a movement. And movements require momentum. Movements require money. Movements require platforms. And the marketplace gives you that. Every product you launch, every service you offer, every deal you close. These are not just transactions, they are declarations. declarations that say, the kingdom is here, that say, excellence still matters, that say, you can prosper without compromise, that say, you can build and remain holy, that say, you don't have to sell your soul to succeed. When your business becomes your ministry, mediocrity becomes illegal. Cutting corners becomes unacceptable because you're not building for your ego. You're building as an ambassador of something bigger than yourself. This is why your millionaire phase is sacred. It's not about luxury. It's about leadership. It's not about status. It's about stewardship. It's not about being seen. It's about becoming a signal to your generation that the kingdom of God is relevant, powerful, and practical. The world is tired of religion without results. They are looking for leaders who can demonstrate what heaven looks like in real time. And that is your calling. That is why God gave you ideas. That is why He gave you strategy. That is why you are wired to innovate, to build, to multiply, to dominate. Because dominion was never meant to be shouted about. It was meant to be lived out. When you treat your business as ministry, you start doing things differently. You don't just chase trends, you discern timing. You don't just follow models, you receive blueprints. You don't just compete, you create. You understand that your gift, your idea, your brand is a weapon in God's hands. You stop thinking like a hustler and start thinking like a king. You stop surviving off desperation and start thriving off revelation. You begin to understand that influence is more powerful than income, and legacy is more powerful than likes. God is raising up leaders who won't apologize for prosperity because they understand the purpose behind it. He's raising up voices in real estate, in tech, in finance, in design, in health, in media who will not hide their faith or dilute their values just to be accepted. He's raising up millionaires with mission, builders with boldness, creators with character, entrepreneurs with anointing, people who understand that the marketplace is the front line of cultural transformation. You don't have to wait to be called into full-time ministry to start impacting lives. You're already in full-time ministry if you're in alignment with your assignment. That desk is your altar. That laptop is your pulpit. That pitch deck is your sermon. That signature is your covenant. And when you do business God's way, you don't just make money, you make impact. You don't just sell, you solve. You don't just profit, you plant. You don't just grow, you govern. This is the season where you must shift how you see your work. Don't minimize your calling because it doesn't look like a stage. Don't despise your office because it's not inside a church. Your meeting room is just as anointed as any sanctuary when God is in it. He wants to use your ideas to feed families, your leadership to birth movements, your company to fund vision, your brand to shape culture. He wants to use your business as a distribution channel for the kingdom. When the marketplace becomes your ministry, excellence is your language, honor is your culture, integrity is your currency, and purpose is your bottom line. You realize that success is not measured just by what you build, but by who you bless. You understand that your name is not being made great just for you. It's so that His name can be glorified through you. You're not just entering your millionaire phase, you're stepping into your mantle. And your mantle is not for popularity, it's for purpose. It's time to take your place in the marketplace. To build like Nehemiah, to lead like Joseph, to create like Bezalel, to steward like Daniel, to multiply like the servants with the talents. You are not here to fit in. You are here to take over. With humility, with wisdom, and with power. Because when business becomes sacred, influence becomes eternal. And when your millionaire phase becomes ministry, your wealth becomes a weapon of righteousness in a world starving for truth. Expectation sets the ceiling, but environment determines the speed. You cannot declare abundance while surrounding yourself with conditions that normalize lack. Your environment is either fertilizing your future or feeding your frustration. If you're believing for millions, you cannot continue to dwell in atmospheres where poverty is accepted, fear is common, and average is celebrated. Growth requires alignment. Environments are prophetic. They speak to your future before your future arrives. If your surroundings do not challenge your potential, they will quietly cancel your progress. Every relationship carries a spirit. Some relationships multiply your vision, others drain it. If you want to rise, you must stop entertaining people who are comfortable where you're trying to escape from. Conversations shape mentality. Exposure expands belief. You cannot keep listening to small talk and expect big results. You can't build a millionaire mindset while dining daily with complainers, doubters, and those allergic to vision. Who you listen to becomes what you live out. If your circle doesn't stretch you, it's strangling you. Habits are environmental. What you repeat is what you reap. Millionaire thinking demands discipline, structure, focus, and intentionality. You cannot sow hours into distraction and expect destiny to bloom. Clean your space, structure your days. Remove the clutter. Design your atmosphere to reflect the level you're believing for. Don't wait to arrive before you act like you belong. Act like it now, and your life will catch up. Faith without the right environment becomes frustration. God will not bless what you refuse to bring into order. Your environment is a mirror. It reflects whether you're truly expecting increase or merely wishing for it. So prune the garden. Protect your atmosphere. Set standards. Because your next level is not waiting on your desire. It's waiting on your decision to make room. Overflow was never designed to terminate on you. It was never meant to stop at your table, your closet, your house, or your accounts. Overflow is a divine strategy, not for ego, but for impact. It is the multiplication of resources for the purpose of transformation. God does not give overflow to those who worship accumulation. He gives it to those who understand distribution. The true measure of wealth is not how much you keep, it's how much you release. It's not how full your cup is, but how many cups are filled because yours is running over. When God blesses you, it is always with someone else in mind. He blessed Abraham not just to make him great, but so that through him, all the families of the earth would be blessed. Joseph didn't rise to power in Egypt just for personal success. He rose so that he could save nations during famine. Esther didn't become queen for comfort. She became queen for a kingdom purpose. Every overflow in Scripture was connected to obedience, and every overflow had a downstream of lives attached to it. This is the principle of kingdom wealth. You are blessed to be a blessing. The moment you believe the overflow is about you, you disqualify yourself from the next level. Why? Because God doesn't fund selfish ambition. He funds kingdom assignments. When He finds a vessel who will obey without delay, who will serve without spotlight, who will give without grudging, who will steward with integrity, He pours out more than they ask. Because He knows the overflow won't stop at them. It will flow through them. You must ask yourself who is waiting on your obedience. Whose child will go to school because you stepped into overflow? What single mother will have her rent paid because your business succeeded? What village will drink clean water because you followed the call? What vision will live because you decided not to play small? The truth is, your overflow is not about luxury. It's about legacy. It's not about you being noticed. It's about others being lifted. This is why small thinking is not just dangerous. It's selfish. When you refuse to step into wealth because of fear, guilt, or religious confusion, you're not just limiting yourself. You're robbing others of the breakthrough that was assigned to your yes. Kingdom overflow is not greedy. It's generous. It looks for needs and meets them. It doesn't wait to be asked. It anticipates plans and provides. It builds shelters, funds scholarships, launches hospitals, empowers communities, and breaks generational curses. It thinks globally, gives strategically, and serves sacrificially. Overflow isn't just financial. It's wisdom, vision, strategy, favor, and opportunity. It's the kind of abundance that positions you to write checks and change laws, to sit at tables not for clout but for causes, to create jobs, build systems, and mentor leaders. That's what wealth is for. It's not to prove your worth. It's to fulfill your work. You are not a reservoir, you are a river. You are not a container, you are a channel. And when God finds a channel He can trust, He releases a flow that no man can stop. But here's the truth. Generosity is not activated when you have much. It's activated when you're willing with what you already have. If you cannot share on the level you're on, you won't share when millions come. Overflow starts with a posture of open hands, open hearts, and open obedience. It's a decision to live beyond yourself. Because you were never created to be the final destination of God's blessings, you were created to be a distribution center. So prepare your life to pour. Design your systems to serve. Build with others in mind. Stop thinking survival. Start thinking scale. Stop asking how much you can have and start asking how much you can give. Because the bigger your heart becomes, the bigger the supply heaven sends. God doesn't bless according to greed. He blesses according to capacity. If He can get it through you, He will get it to you. Your millionaire phase is not just about your comfort. It's about your contribution. You're not stepping into overflow to feel important. You're stepping in to become impactful. Because when God breathes on your obedience, what was once just a dream becomes deliverance for many. What started as an idea becomes income for families. What began as your breakthrough becomes someone else's lifeline. That's overflow. That's kingdom wealth. That's what it means to live not for applause, but for assignment. And when that becomes your motivation, lack becomes illegal in your life. Because heaven will never let a selfless vessel run dry. My friend, you were never created to chase after money. You were born to become the kind of person wealth cannot ignore. This is not about riches for vanity. It is about resources for vision. You are not just stepping into a new financial season. You are entering your divine assignment season. You are crossing over from barely enough to more than enough. Not just so you can live in comfort, but so you can fund causes, build systems, lift nations, and establish the kingdom in the earth. This is the time to renew your mind, to correct your theology, to align your habits, to upgrade your associations. Because you can no longer afford to think like the wilderness when you are being summoned into the promised land. You can no longer sit at the table of small-mindedness when your destiny is to sit before kings. This is not the time to play it safe. This is the time to become dangerous to darkness. Because when a child of God discovers their gift, protects their vision, walks in purpose, governs their environment, and uses their overflow to bless others, the devil has no defense for that kind of influence. This is more than a shift. It is a divine summons, a calling to rise above mediocrity, to break free from mental poverty, to walk boldly in the assignment for which you were born. You are not a mistake. You are not random. You are a solution sent to earth with resources attached. And your millionaire phase is not your destination. It is your platform for dominion. God is not just giving you money. He is giving you a mantle, a responsibility, a generation to serve, a legacy to build. And when you step into it with clarity, humility, and boldness, heaven will open the windows, pour out the oil, and surround you with favor that makes no sense. So walk out of the wilderness of doubt and step into the season of overflow. Shake off the limits, break the patterns, sever the distractions, and rise into your wealthy place. Because when purpose is discovered, vision is written, the gift is activated, and obedience is complete. Provision has no choice but to show up. Your millionaire phase has arrived not just for you, but for every life connected to your obedience. Let the overflow begin.